Okay, now I have entered everything I need for the lesson outline. So after that, we want to fill in everything that we can. If you don't know anything else, that is totally okay. However, if we can, then we want to come over. We don't do anything in the in-class notes. We just want to make sure that struggling, developing, mastered, student info, that thing's in there. We have our lesson goals, and now props and notes. So as you're clicking through, if you notice anything, then by all means add it. Oftentimes I find that the props and notes come after I've taught it once, because then you get the real feel for it, and you figure out, you know, what really works and what doesn't work with the lesson. But if you're going through and you do notice something, then you want to put those in. Like, so props, you could definitely have a cat, cat food, and fish. And then anything else that you notice. And the lesson seemed pretty normal to me, but I think I would definitely have different feelings about that after I taught the lesson. So you can put something in there, or teach it all the way through, and once you've taught it and you have some notes about it, like, oh, it was actually really slow, or it was really quick, or whatever it is, then you can put in those notes afterwards. But I haven't taught it yet, so I can't do that. And then your digital rewards. So if you're a digital user and you have something like that would help, either Google Slides or Google like Minicam props or Cam Twist or whatever, then you could put those in. Or if you have a fun reward system other than the one, they have the one that's in there, so whatever. So if you have something, you can put it in here. And then we have the reward system, which again is an interactive one. So let's put interactive and then interactive I, just so we know that it's an interactive one, which it's an interactive lesson, so we know that. But barn, and then animals. And then on this one, this is where you can put your own in. Once you actually do it, you can say if you use that one or if you used a different one. And then teaching tips, again, if there's something in there that like you figured out, like, oh, this was a great way that worked. It worked really well to teach this thing like this. Make a quick YouTube video for us and throw in, just say what it is, like here on it's a neighborhood, and then what it is. Just tell us what it's about, the teaching tip is about, and then throw in your link to your video on there. Please don't put in promotional things, like if you're selling, like on the props, the digital props, and on the regular props, if you're selling something, please don't put in your links for buying things. But if you have something that's free, that's what we want to know. And then we put in our bank feedback. I'm going to show you really quickly a quick way to do it. If you don't want to do a long one, all you need to do is, we don't want to say meet, so we say something like, it was so nice to see it's coming up because it's just the same. Your child in class today. This was our first lesson. New unit. Woohoo! Because I'm saying this, anytime you have like a landmark one, or you could do it for everyone, like, oh, this was our third lesson in our unit or whatever. That kind of helps navigate where they are, so I think that's a good way to do it. So it was our first lesson in our new unit, animal families. Our lesson goals today were, so this is the fast and easy way. I just come over here, oops, it's not working, and I copy the lesson goals and I slap those bad boys in here. I do it on a new line and I paste them in, and I get rid of our quotation marks, because quotation marks just double when you copy and paste them in. So always try and get rid of quotations, and instead you can use apostrophes. So it just kind of, it's a little junky, but use apostrophes for the same thing that you would quotation marks, but they won't double. Okay, so scoot that over now. So you can see my formatting is crazy, so we just always want to make sure it's text wrap, but you can do that at the end. So now we have, it was so nice to see your child in class today. This was our first lesson in our new unit, animal families. Our lesson goals today were, and then we listed them. Now we want to do a new one and say your child earned, ooh, not 3, 5 stars today. We only put that in because they haven't said it for a while, so I don't think it really matters. But they used to ask us to put in how many stars the student used in case there were any star problems. You should be giving 5 stars almost always, so it's easier to put that in as our base, and then if for some reason your student didn't get 5 stars, that's an easy edit. So your child earned 5 stars today. I hope to see your child again soon. Teacher. And I actually really like putting the teacher below, just because I like all the things that you're gonna put in to really pop out. So for example, I like having the space here and having this here because now I can put in my personalized things really easily right here. Then I have my goodbye, and then I can put my name in really easily here. So that's why I format it that way. Then give yourself 2 lines, and now we want to put in the performance review. So as you can see, other than the 5 stars, which we don't count that, nothing is performance based. So it doesn't say it was nice to meet your child, they did well, they did poorly, they need to practice something. And so then I do the no performance review. So I do the asterisk and then no performance review, new line, and then I'm going to make the find and replace key. And the find and replace key is always specific to each lesson. So don't just put in one that it's not one size fits all. It's one size fits that one lesson. And oftentimes you can write your feedback in a way that it's the same, but make sure the feedback or the key is specific to the lesson. So find and replace. And then I use your child with the lowercase letters, and then you would replace that with the name. And on this one, do I use an uppercase? I do. So your child and then name. And then that's it. That's all I actually need for the whole thing. Oops. Sorry. And the way that you want to do it, so if you're putting in a feedback entry, you want to test it real quick. Because if you test it and it works, then you know it was a good feedback key. If you test it and you're like, oh shoot, I actually did this, then you know it wasn't. Because sometimes there's something like if you did a there or a his or her, then sometimes those are in the target sentences, and so it throws it off. That it just run your find and replace and see. So we're gonna copy it, and I'm gonna just put it in my personal so that it's there, and I'm gonna fill it out for like if I were doing it for Leo. So Control H, or if you're on a Mac, it's Control Shift H. So I'm gonna run my thing. So I said lowercase, the name, which will be Leo. I only want to do it to the specific range. I don't want it to do to the whole lesson. And because I'm replacing for the same thing, your child lowercase and uppercase, for the same name, then I don't need to match the case. If it was different, even if it was like the same your child, but I was changing what it was replacing to, then I would want to do the specific match case. If that doesn't make sense, just go to the feedback training training video, and I explain that in more detail. So then I just do replace all, and then I want to read it and make sure it's correct. Read it all the way through. It was nice to see Leo in class today. This was our first lesson in our new unit, Animal Families. Our lesson goals today were, and then make sure it didn't replace anything weird in the lesson goals. Great. Leo earned 5 stars. I hope to see Leo again soon. Teacher. So perfect. It worked. So then I can just delete that. I don't need that because that's not real. And then this is ready to go. So now once it's ready to go, and you can write it, that's the fast and easy way because I'm just copying and pasting. If you want to do it in like paragraph form down here, please do. That's fantastic. That's why we have 2 different feedback places, so that either you can write a different style, or if you did this style but you get here and you're like, oh, I don't like that style, then it's really quickly to take this one and put it in paragraph form. So even though you're not necessarily always doing every step, if you do some of the steps and then put it in the collaborative lesson bank, whatever steps you're good with, then it's really easy to take what someone else has done and then change it or edit it or fix it. So that's why don't get too stressed and overwhelmed. Just add what you can add. So that's why we have 2. We have one bank feedback and we have an alternate bank feedback. Both of these are what can go in the collaborative lesson bank. And then the 2 parent feedback is always blank, because this is where you would write your personalized one. So like to Steve, to Thomas, what you're actually putting in to parents in the feedback. That's what you put here. So all of your personal feedback is saved in the 2 parent feedback column in your personal lesson bank. But now I'm going to show you. So I'm going to open this up a little bit bigger, and I'm going to show you how we take the entry that you just created and put it into the collaborative lesson bank, because right now we're in my personal lesson bank, remember. So first thing you want to do is you want to copy the SN code. So Control copy or Command copy, and then you want to go to the collaborative lesson bank. So here we are on the collaborative lesson bank, and as you can see, I'm in the area. So let me move me down here. So in the collaborative lesson bank, and while you're clicked on the doc, you want to do Control F. That will bring in Find in Sheet. And this is how you can quickly search within this sheet. Oh, so please notice, when you're in your personal lesson bank, and it's an interactive lesson, you want to add I in front of the MC code. This will let us know that it's an interactive lesson and it's not the regular MC lesson. VIPKid doesn't have anything that decide in our schedule. Let me just pull this up so you can see what I mean. In our schedules, it says interactive. However, that doesn't pull up. You can't copy that into your lesson. So here we are. Here's my schedule, and here's an interactive lesson. So you can see it says MC L2 U10 LC11. So that means level 2 unit 10, the first lesson, and it's interactive because we get this nice little yellow interactive bubble. However, when you highlight and copy that, as you can see, it doesn't bring over the interactive. It's like a picture. It's not text that we can copy. And so how we're navigating that at the collaborative lesson bank is we're going to add the I before the MC, because in the personal lesson bank, it pulls on your schedule maker, whatever the lesson SN code is, that's how it's generating. And so in the collaborative lesson bank, I have added a section for all the interactive lessons, and I put an I before it, so it will pull it if you do that. So back to how we now put it back in. Now we've added in that little info. So here we are in my lesson bank. I filled out the entry form, everything I want to put in. Now I want to add this to the collaborative lesson bank because there isn't an entry for it. So I added in my I because it's an interactive lesson, and I copied that. So Control C. Then come over to the collaborative lesson bank, do that Control F or Command F, and put in, paste it in here, so Control V. Now it's going to find the lesson. So as you can see, I started doing it, and then I realized, oh, I should do this in a thing. So that's why it has those two things. See? Ta-da! Nothing in there. So here's our empty lesson. So it highlighted it for us. So now what do we want to do? Notice that there's dark orange and there's bright orange in the collaborative blank. Collaborative is orange. Your personal one, if you're using the personal lesson bank, it is teal. On the schedule makers, on your schedule, it's blue. So personal means blue, orange means collaborative with everyone. So as you notice, dark blue, light blue on the collaborative lesson bank, dark orange, light orange. We want the light colors. The light colors match in the columns. So on my personal lesson bank, I'm going to go to the first light blue one, which is G, the lesson outline. I'm going to select that cell. I'm going to scroll over to the last one that I put in, which if I had an alternative one would be O, but in this case it's just N. So you hold Shift and then click the last cell you want to do, and that will highlight all of them. So as you can see, now they're all highlighted that I want to copy. So now Control Copy, or you can do right click copy. If you ever forget the shortcut, just do right click and see it shows you what it is there. So now we're copying from here. We're going to the collaborative lesson bank. So from blue, now we're going to orange. And see, we're still highlighted on that lesson. It's telling us in green because see it on the find and sheet, it's here. So now I want to go to the first light orange one, and I put in here, and I don't want to double click. If you double click, I'll just show you since I don't have anything in here. If you double click and you paste it, it's going to paste everything in that one cell. We don't want that. So Control Z, get out of there. If you just highlight it, no cursor, see double click, now the cursor is blinking. That means it's only going to do it in a cell. So click out of that and just click once so it's highlighted. If you do that and then do Control V, then, and this will pop up because this is saying, hey, you're going to edit the collaborative lesson bank. Is that really what you're trying to do here? And you are. So you just click OK. And then see, it fills it all in, and it fills it in nice and perfectly. If you notice it's filling it in crazy, make sure you're in Chrome. If it's filling it vertically, it's probably because you're using Explorer or something else, because compatibility gets a little weird with Google Sheets and different browsers sometimes, but Chrome will always work because Chrome is Google. So as you can see, it copied it all in really nicely across where I wanted it. But make sure, as you can see, look here, this isn't text wrap. So one thing to do is if you didn't format it before you came over, just highlight the entire row, and we want it to the top alignment. And you can do, if you know you're editing it go ahead and click this. Don't show this again for 5 minutes. So we want top alignment, we want wrap text, we want white background. It's already there. These don't matter, but I'm just telling you everything we do. And then black. So if you did the text wrapping, oh, and also we don't want any borders. I didn't bring any over, but sometimes people do. Click no borders. So then we don't have any borders. It's all to the top, and it's text wrapped. It's in black with white background. So as we click through, see now it shows everything perfectly. So that is how, from start to finish, you put in an entry to the new for the new interactive lessons. I hope this is helpful. Let me know if you have any questions. You can always email me or find me on the Facebook group and tag in a question. You can also ask on the Facebook group or on the YouTube site. And well, people will get back to you and answer on the Facebook group, but on the YouTube, I'll notice every few days when I get a thing, and then I'll go answer those questions. Okay, thanks for watching, you guys. Thanks for being collaborators. Thanks for being contributors and collaborating on the CLB. Oh, and it got me again, you guys. Tricky. I don't know why my shortcut's not working. Okay, bye guys.